welcome to the training, learning, and development community. Thanks for joining us here in Northern California. It is a good afternoon. We've got some excellent weather here, and we're doing a showcase with Rosa Espinal-Perry. Did I say that right?
You did.
I
Very
did.
good.
Okay,
Some people get
excellent.
stumped by the Espinal.
No, I got it. I guess I got it. And I really appreciate you taking the time out to talk with us. We're going to learn more about you. And it looks like Kim is in and Elizabeth is in. They're saying giving their shout outs there in the chat.
I
And
see
so I've
that.
got
Hello, everyone.
yeah. So 10 questions, 30 minutes. We're going to learn more about you, your journey as an instructional designer, maybe even talk about the fact that you were that you are, is it ATD Central Florida chapter? You're the president?
The past president.
Past president.
Past
Okay.
president right now.
And we
Yes.
could talk about that too. I've got some great questions
Absolutely.
for you lined up.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, so let's just start out now. Where did your journey in learning and development begin? How did you find out about this crazy career?
So, I guess it really started with one of my early jobs as a pre-K teacher assistant,
Oh,
teaching toddlers. And while that was interesting and lovely, I like adults better. They don't take as many bathroom breaks. But it kind of started there, in designing, putting things together to teach the little ones, learn their ABCs and one, two, threes. And then progressed into having other roles. The one thing that has been consistent in my career is that it's been one of teaching and or training. uh, Instructional design really started once I started in banking, and that was, it feels like 100 years ago, back still in the 90s. And lived in Miami at the time, and I was a teller. And I'm about processes, and if you show me how to do it, I'm going to try to do it the best way. And so, you know how it is usually, if you do things right, then you can train, and you can train because you all do this stuff the right way, right? And that sometimes works because you do find someone who has a passion for learning and a passion for teaching, but sometimes it doesn't. They lucked out because I have both. And so progressed to first just training tellers and creating the materials for them. Because again, dating myself, in the 90s, we did not have the software that we have today. So there was no Storyline or Rise or any of that good stuff we use now. It was a good old Xerox, make a copy, put that together, and hand write some of it. Because we were a small bank and didn't even have word processing equipment then. We
right.
had a good old typewriter. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, so really dating myself. But then, you learn, and really the basics are the basics, right? It's, what do they need to know? How can you explain it? And how can you make it engaging, fun, interactive, right? So to me, those are the basics that don't change, whether you are using that old typewriter or cranking it out in Storyline or Captivate or any other, software of your choice, right?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
it's about engaging the learner with what they need to know so that they do their job well.
I haven't heard that term Xerox in probably like years, it seems like, and that used to be
Yeah.
such a common thing. But
Mhm.
like working as a teller or training tellers, that is a great sort of like, that is a very fertile place to become a trainer because there's so much that happens there. Is there anything in particular that you can recall, something that really has stuck with you that you've maintained through the years
Well,
from training tellers?
definitely having visual examples when of what people need to know and actually like see in order to do effectively, right?
Mhm.
So for the trainer, for the tellers, part of what I needed to include in my training was examples of uh, signatures, right? And
Mhm.
so they, back then, we had to look at their signature cards. And so how do you compare that against their driver license? Or how can you tell a good check from a bad check? Or what are the things you need to put on the check to show that you checked all the 5 or 7 points or whatever thing it was, right? And so that's where that good old Xerox would come in, because we'd create several different ones, and some good ones and some not so good ones. And that was their assessment, is pick out the one pick out the errors and tell us which is a good one and why it's good, right?
Hmm.
And you can still do those things now, but we're doing it with scenarios and drop downs and hover over this or that, and in different formats, in different
Hmm.
platforms.
Have you had an opportunity to look at what like more modern teller training is like?
No, I have not.
Hmm.
I do know there are things out there, but I haven't been in banking in forever. I actually don't even go inside the bank anymore. It's all outside if I have to go get cash. So
Yeah,
times
yeah.
have evolved, right?
Yeah, I worked at a credit union a couple years ago, and but not in any type of, in any training capacity. I was working in the marketing department, and I remember just going into the training area and just seeing like how high tech and how polished it was, and it was actually a place of I don't know, there was a lot of focus on making sure that it was one of the nicer areas
Hmm.
of the institution. There was a
Hmm.
lot that was happening there where their training was really, really important to them. And so
Hmm.
that actually made me feel pretty good to see that.
And
Yeah.
I know that nowadays their systems have evolved a lot, right? It's not
Mhm.
the old banking systems before. They're web based, doing transactions through that. So the challenge then is showing them how to use that software and doing things correctly within those platforms.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Kit's all saying in the chat, you could bank on it.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's someone talking about mimeographs. I remember those.
Yeah. So you went from pre-K and then you started doing the teller stuff. When did the instructional design piece really come in?
Well, then as I said, training is the one thing that is consistently been part of my career. So some of that design then came later on, once I was working in telecom, and then actually as a frontline trainer, also having to create training materials, right?
Mhm.
And then thankfully there was software involved, so it was using Microsoft Word or PowerPoint to put together different either handouts, training manuals, and different instruction related to the jobs of the customer service associates who worked on the phones.
Mhm, mhm. I see, I see. And so what is it about instructional design that you like at this point?
Really, just conveying the information they need in the simplest and most engaging way, right? Making it memorable, making it in such a way that they want to do it, they do it, and at the end of the day, they can do their job all the much better for it, right? Because we've made sure that the learning aligns with the business goals, aligns with the most important parts of their role, either tied directly to how they're measured or how, their performance, and just lining it up all the way so that uh, those goals are achieved, but then making it fun for the learner. Because sometimes,
Mhm.
most of the time, people don't want to sit down and complete e-learning or sit in a classroom or even Zoom or whatever we're using nowadays, right? So really, it's about designing any of it to where it's fun, it's interactive, it's engaging, but you learn so that
Yeah.
there's that win-win for all sides.
So is it the designing that you get more satisfaction out of, or is it the actual seeing the results that you get the
A
satisfaction
little bit
out?
of both. I like designing. I
Mhm.
love that design part and interacting with who those learners are, getting to know more about them. So, a lot of the needs analysis, audience analysis. That's the nerdy geek in me. I like doing that part. But then the creative side, putting it together, right? And then at the end, again, bringing back the wanting to see what are the results, right? Was it effective? Did it meet the metrics that we wanted the learning to do? Are people doing the things that we want them to do? Has the behavior changed? Is it improving, right? And did they enjoy it, right? So a little bit of smile sheets as well as ROI.
Nice. So is there a particular training project that you might want to that really gave you a sense of satisfaction, that something you'd like to brag about a little bit?
Well, there's been several. I mean, throughout my career, different things that I did at different organizations. But right now, I would say the one thing that in my current role, so when I started here at Career Source Central Florida, which is where I currently work, um, we are an organization who helps put people to work, right? That means if you come to us and you need a job, our staff is there to help you skill up if you need to skill up, right? Or place you in a job if you're ready. And we did not have our own learning management system, and we did not, even though there was a lot of learning going on, it wasn't structured, and there wasn't anything that where we could say, okay, go here and complete this particular training. And so that has been a proud moment of being able to really create an entire learning ecosystem for the organization that isn't just the LMS, it's all the other things that we've brought in, other digital libraries and other tools that they now have in their box that help our staff be the best that they can be so that they can help the community we serve, in a much better way. And
Yeah.
just really structuring that learning and really aligning it again to the goals of the organization and showing how we're moving that needle on employee development and improving those skills. And when I see folks that maybe started, a few years ago when I did, and how they're moving now in their roles and uh, growing their skills, and now are leaders within the organization themselves, frontline leaders. That's a proud moment for me. It's kind of, like your babies are growing up off to college and doing great things, kind of thing, right? So
No,
that's the satisfaction I get from working on things for any organization that I'm in, is then seeing where does it take those learners, right? What were they doing before and what are they doing now? How has my learning, my training that I created for them helped them improve in their careers, whether it's with the same organization or if they're moving on, to other places to do great things elsewhere.
no, that's great. And I think I recall you have a background in operations too, right?
Yes. So
Because it
again,
seems like you like structure and systems and processes. I'm sort of hearing that a little bit.
yeah, a lot, yeah. But then, there's also that creative side. But yeah, I do have some in operations. As I said, training has been the one consistent thing in my career.
Mhm.
One job that I thought, okay, wait, why are they calling me, when I got a call from Staples that they wanted me to, apply for a position? And I thought it was okay, probably contact center or retail store. No, it was for their fulfillment operations. And so I had to literally learn everything from receiving to shipping and everything that happens in between, drive forklifts and train others on I'm a certified forklift driver.
Nice.
But again, a great organization, huge organization, and you would think, okay, they've got all training stuff created and written. No, they had a lot of SOPs, but not really anything written in a way that was user friendly for the guy who's opening the receiving truck and receiving the product, right? Or
Wow.
that picker who is um, putting on that wrist rocket, as they call them, and scanning that label to then pick the product that arrives at your door.
Mhm.
So then it was working with those frontline people. They became my SMEs, putting together things and then creating learning that we eventually started using nationwide, because that was a kind of a pilot project Staples did. I was like, think the third person they brought on to the warehouse operations.
Wow. Yeah, that is heavy operations.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's very cool to imagine you driving a forklift.
I've done it. Yeah,
So,
cherry pickers, actually. Yeah, and I'm
tell us
afraid of
about
heights, so that's interesting. Yeah,
RJ Multi-Service.
so
So you're the owner of that. Yeah, what's that about?
that's my consulting.
Okay.
So when I take on freelance projects or clients who need either consulting with what they're doing in their business, from training and development, or HR as well, and or building e-learning, and or other things for them. So that's what RJ Multi Service is.
Wow. How long have you been how long have you been doing that consulting work?
I've been doing that probably since about 2012, 13, around there. A little bit,
Okay, so
yeah, for a nice while. Yeah.
yeah, it's been a while.
Hmm.
So at this point now, you've been doing, you've been a trainer for a couple decades. You have a ton of experience. I mean, you're working for Staples, all this stuff. Is there anything that you would tell yourself, like when you had first started? If you can go back to who you were when you first started getting into being a trainer, and you could give yourself advice, what would that be?
Oh, that it would definitely be to just learn all you can and keep learning. I mean, it's what I do now, but I don't think that, Rosa in 99 or, 2000 really was embracing that as much as I
Mm,
embrace it now. Uh, and and as I've embraced it for probably the last 10, 15 years, right? We as leaders of learning in organizations have to make sure that our toolbox has all the tools that we need and they are sharp. We need to know what is out there. Maybe I'm not going to use it today, but it could be something that, is something that I can implement in the future for my organization. So it's always having your eye on what are the trends, right?
mm,
How can I improve what I'm doing? Because if you're just doing the same thing over and over, your learners are going to at some point not be engaged with the content. You're not going to be driving that needle to move forward as a high performing learning organization.
hmm.
And I think that's what's important. If I keep improving my skills, that means that what my product that I'm creating is all that much better, which means then that my audience has that capacity to do that much better because we're delivering a better product to them.
Wow, Rosa. So you stay on top of trends. Like how do you do that? And I'm actually asking that question too, is because I'd like our next community day to kind of be focused on trends and maybe future of instructional design or learning experiences design or learning and development. But how do you stay on top of trends?
So I got to tell you, LinkedIn is one of the best sources, and it's
Yeah.
just who you're following, right? So, um, I follow Myra, Cara, Alex, and
Hmm.
Alex Dallas, Kara North, and Myra Roldan are just a few of the names. Keith Keating, and I'm not just following trends, say in tech, but also trends in just the human side of what we do, right?
Yeah.
So again embracing the design thinking and things like that, right? And then it's that blend that just helps you grow. And you can't be afraid to talk to people and ask questions.
Hmm. Hmm.
Recently when I was at ATD ice 21 and I was volunteering, but met great person Valerie Casada, who then showed me a great tool, and we purchased it right then and there from e-learning brothers. I did not know they had a virtual reality tool, and it's something they just acquired, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
again, it's so, and that was because that's something we'd like to start doing. So we're
Right.
now in that learn it and then figure out what you're going to build with it phase, right? But again, it's that don't be afraid to keep learning, ask questions, stay
Yeah.
curious, and you're going to just be amazing at your organization.
So is that how you stay on top of your professional development? Is it through your LinkedIn contacts and going to
LinkedIn,
events and that type of thing?
and definitely being a part of ATD.
Hmm.
I would say that about 70% of what I do now in my current role as a learning development manager within my organization is skills that I've learned either through volunteering with ATD or through certifications that I've taken through ATD or other organizations like ATD, Training Magazine, TLC, all of those, right? So it's really continuing to, to stay out there and look at what's out there, right? Self assess, right? So really having that emotional intelligence to say, this is not my strength and how do I improve it, right? And be okay with that, like own it, right? And then do something about it. Don't just say, okay, well, I'm just not good at project management, right? Learning is a project, right? But you can make it a great experience for those that complete that learning, right? It
Yeah.
shouldn't be like the learner feels like, oh God, this is a project, right? It should be that they're like, wow, this was great. And then your organization should say, wow, that was amazing. Look at the results we got. The behavior changed, goals happened, right? And it happens through the person, the designer, the learning staff within the organization really having that critical eye to wanting to improve,
Yeah.
not staying stagnant.
Nice. So, Rosa, what aren't you strong at that you're working on right now?
Really, it's some of the software platforms. So
Mm.
because now I've moved more to managing the role versus being the doer and just immersed in say storyline or other software, I feel that I need to get back in and start building more so
Mm.
that I don't lose those skills, right? Because right now my team does that. My team is using those great tools. I'm
Mhm.
finding the tools for them, but I'm not using the tools as much as I'd like to.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. And so if there was the one thing that you could just do all the time that you have the most fun with, what would that be?
Well, it would probably still be facilitating the
Yeah.
learning to staff.
Mhm.
I'd like to see when those aha moments happen because of the facilitation of either the instruction of this is how you do this particular thing, or even if it's just professional development, what they call soft skills, which are really not soft, like that's another topic for another day, right? But that here's how you communicate better in the workplace, and those things, some just seeing those light bulbs go on of like, no, I didn't see that coming, or didn't think of that. So I still like that facilitation side a lot,
Mhm.
interacting with people.
Yeah, yeah. Now, so you had mentioned you want to get back a little bit more into platformers, working on that type of thing. But is there anything else, like something that you feel like you really need to work on that you'd like to get back to that you can share with us?
So yeah, as I said, definitely the tools, right?
Yeah.
So I think even though I haven't used a storyline as much, I'd still do the three storyline 360, not as much, but I am using Rise quite often.
Hmm.
But there are a few tools that we've purchased, for example, Beyond and now the e-learning brothers one. I'd like to learn how to use those. How do I create augmented reality for our staff, right? And one of the
Hmm.
things that I envision is like a new member coming and scanning something, and all of a sudden they can be immersed into each of our different locations right from their phone,
Yeah.
and interact with people at that location through what we create, right? So
Hmm.
learning how to do that. If I can do that, then I will have reached that next goal of what I want to do from a software learning perspective.
Yeah, that is kind of like on the nerdy side of things. So you've got that bend to you.
I'm all over the place.
So, who or what keeps you inspired in your career? Is there anything specific that you can share with us?
For me, it was always wanting to so it was something just instilled in all of us as kids, from Latin background, and you came home with a B, that was a problem. So it was always about get good grades so you excel in school, excel in life. And so I got that from my mom, my grandmother. And so if I think of who still motivates me even though they're not here, it's them. But it's also wanting to, as they were an example for me, be an example for my kids and my grandkids, right?
Mm.
My oldest granddaughter just started college this year, so she's a freshman. And if she can be inspired just a teeny bit by any little thing that I do, to me that would be an amazing win, right? And
Uh,
just being able to be that example for others, because I had those role models, I
mhm,
had those mentors. So to me, that's what helps me just kind of stay grounded, stay focused, to continue to do well and teach others, and share. I'm really big about that. If I know something, I'm going to tell a friend, and I'm going to tell them to tell 10 friends, right? And we're going to keep
mhm.
keep sharing, because knowledge is no good if you're the only one that knows it.
Right. Yeah. Are you mentoring anybody now?
I do have a few people that I am mentoring, folks that want to be in the instructional design field, and others who are looking to just enter the world of human resources. So, four mentees right now.
Wow, very nice, very nice. So, if you weren't an L&D professional, what do you think you'd be? What would you want to be?
I think it would still be teaching.
Yeah,
It would still be that.
education is it, huh?
Education is it. Education is it. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And last question, Rosa. If there's one thing that people should know about you, what is it?
Uh, I love learning and love to share what I know with others. I'm a connector. Okay, and so I hope that as a result of this, others reach out and we can connect and learn things together. That's I think most people know that, but maybe some don't. And so I would say that that would be the thing is reach out to me with things that you'd like to learn about that I may know, or to share something you learned so that I can learn it.
I love it, Rosa. That's one of the reasons why I love doing these. Is I'm hoping that this introduces people to others, so that if they're curious about Rosa, they can actually just check out this conversation. It's not a very long conversation. They can learn a lot more about you, and then hopefully connect with you and go from there. So that's great. So you headed to any other events? You doing anything else the rest of this year? You
Well,
going to be anywhere
oh,
face to face?
quite busy. Well, yeah, actually a face-to-face event, Women in Leadership conference that is happening in Orlando. So I'm excited about that.
Great.
Did ATD ICE, and that was face to face. So it was exciting to just be in the same room with, great thought leaders in our world of L&D, and great other professionals that I met there. And also attending virtually the Learning 2021. Was hoping it was going to be in person, but safety concerns, and we appreciate that. They're doing it virtual, so that'll be a virtual one that I'll be attending. And then looking forward to ATD ICE 2022, because that's in my backyard in Orlando. So
Mhm.
yeah, so hopefully we get a nice crowd, and it's not a virtual event. It's going to be in person. So very
Is that is
excited.
that in Orlando, or is that gonna
Yeah,
be in Florida in
it's
the
going to be in
spring,
Florida.
or?
ATD 22 is May. I don't remember the exact dates. I want to say it's mid-May, the 15th or 18th,
Mhm,
something like that.
mhm.
And it is in Orlando.
Wow, and learning is gonna be purely, virtual? It's not gonna be
It right,
hybrid?
yeah. So yeah, and learning, that's the one that used to be Maisie Learning, which is now
Mhm,
Keep
mhm.
Learning. Yeah, it's not going to be a hybrid. It is 100% virtual.
Interesting. Very cool. Okay. Well,
Kim,
Rosa,
thank you. Thank you
yeah,
so much.
very nice, Kim, thanks. I really appreciate your time, Rosa, and I might hit you up because I need to figure out about these trends. I wanna learn about some of these trends myself. I wanna put this event
Absolutely,
together, so
absolutely. Hit me
y
up. And thank you for the opportunity to be on your show, to be
yeah.
on your program. I appreciate it, and thank you for what you're doing for our community, because you're showcasing amazing people. I'm not putting myself in that. The people I listen to it all the time, and you bring on amazing people who have so much to contribute. So from me, thank you for what you're doing.
Oh, Rosa, that means a lot. It is important to me, and it's sort of during this time where people are so isolated. It's one of the reasons why I thought I got to do this, because there's so many of us, and I miss faces and talking
Yeah.
to actual human beings, and not
Mhm.
just like a bunch of webinars where you're getting talked at, just to actually have these little conversations. So I
Absolutely.
really appreciate you and appreciate the support you've shown for TLDC. And I'm looking forward to hopefully at some point meeting you in person. You never know. I might head over to
Thank
ATD ICE next year.
I hope to see you.
All right, Rosa. Thanks so much. And everybody, thanks for jumping in today.
Yeah.
Tomorrow we got Aaron Petershik, who was one of the founders of Learnapalooza out of Seattle. Used to produce events there. So join us tomorrow. I think that one's at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 Eastern. And with that, we'll see everyone next time. Thanks again, Rosa. Take care. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.